Welcome to Eye Contact. I'm Sean Hanahan. Every day, clinic managers and ophthalmologists are approached by someone offering an advertising service. How can we determine what is worth our investment to get awareness and what is not? I'm talking to Rod Solar, an expert on practice management. Welcome, Rod.
Thank you. Well, the key thing to remember is that we're in a new age of generating awareness. And what we have to do is we have to use some principles in order to make decisions around what type of tools we can use. So I would advise any clinic owner or doctor who runs a clinic to look at direct and offer-based advertising over brand-based advertising. So we don't do the types of things that the medical device companies do. We don't do the things that the big brands do. We offer an opportunity for people to get involved in a small commitment into our service, and for that we need to get at what their pains are. We also use mechanisms where people are already raising their hand. So without necessarily going broadcast, rather we use things like paid search and paid social to identify people who are already on the market so that we can generate awareness among those people who are interested in what we offer, as opposed to trying to generate awareness among the whole mass of the population. Also importantly, we want to be doing things on video as opposed to text. That generates a little bit more awareness because people are much more keen on watching a video these days than they are to read a long blog post. And importantly too, we want to do something that we can measure properly. So that's where digital marketing really comes in, and we're able to therefore pay per lead, pay per cost, pay per click, those types of things. Something we can measure more appropriately and save money.
Now, some medical practices may be unhappy with the results they're getting with their website. What can we do to get those ever valuable eyeballs to the site and keep them there?
Yeah, so what we want to do on the web really is generate some engagement. So once we've got awareness, we want to generate engagement. What that means is get people to stay on your website and interact with it as long as you possibly can. So in order to do that, you can't bore them with procedural information. You can't bore them with everything to do with the science, the lenses, the laser technology. Instead, you have to appeal to their before state. You have to make sure that they understand that you empathize with where they're at before a procedure. You also then can paint a picture of where they'd like to go after the procedure. And then you position yourself not as the hero of the story, but rather as the guide. And as the guide, what your job then is to do is to demonstrate some expertise and then invite them to do something. And that's what we call a call to action.
So you've got their attention on the website. How do you keep their attention afterwards?
Well, a really good way of doing that is to do something interactive. So one of the things I like to offer is people a quiz or some kind of questionnaire and get them to actually answer questions about what their challenges are with their vision. So that's a good way to get somebody interactively working with the website as opposed to reading a long post about something that you might imagine they might be interested in, but rather asking them questions. You and I both know that when you ask somebody a question, they pay attention. And that's what I want to do on the web. Now, you can do that automatically through a quiz or some kind of form, and make it interesting, make it fun. Don't make it like you're filling out an admissions form, but make it interesting. And then the other thing you can do is do chat. And these days, a lot of people don't want to make phone calls, especially millennials. They'd much rather get on WhatsApp. They'd much rather get on chat. They'd like to type in questions. They want to remain anonymous and non-committal. So what I have always advised is to offer those options to people. The other thing, too, is to offer some kind of small commitment. And that's something that isn't necessarily a phone call or booking an appointment, but rather something smaller just to generate a relationship with the person and then create some more engagement as a long-term relationship as opposed to a transactional one-step process.
A website's really only one piece of the pie. What is your strategy for developing other social media interfaces to keep their eyes and be part of your brand?
Well, I think you have to be really clear about what social media is about and how it's not just media, but it's also social. And the key thing to remember there is that it's a conversational medium, it's an interactive medium. Social media, as the way I see most ophthalmologists using it today, I mean, first of all, at least they're using it. That's good. That's a good step forward. But what they're doing is they're using it like a broadcast medium. So they put up a picture, they put up a video, and they put up a post, and they say, here's my message to the world. What they're not doing then is engaging in conversations. They're not asking questions. They're not challenging people to respond. They're not inviting people to take some small action. So what you need to do here with social media is you need to not only post your own stuff, you also have to request commentary. You also have to engage in conversation. And not only that, but you have to go on to other social media properties and engage in the conversation elsewhere. Because what people do is then they look at your profile, they go, oh, this is a good answer, or this is a good question that this person added to the conversation, whether that's on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And then they go to that profile and they go, let me check this person out. And that's how you get more people involved in your own social media presence. So it's not just about posting, it's about conversations.
Well, you've invited attention, you've invited inquiries. Who's going to be responding to all those? Don't you have to hire extra staff? How does that work?
Well, I think one of the key things that you have to remember is that your staff today who might answer the phone, their job is not just to answer the phone, their job is to be in contact with patients at the methods and the level that they want to interact with. So that includes answering the phone, that includes being on chat, that includes responding to Facebook inquiries, that includes being on WhatsApp. Just having the tools at their disposal and giving them all the tools that they need in order to interact with patients where they want to talk. Right? I mean, for example, we are limited to the fact that we have a location and we have to have people come to us in one place. But these days with the internet, we are not at all limited with the ability to interact with people on so many different areas and vehicles. And that's what people expect today. Long gone are the days where the only way of handling patients was on the telephone.
You are inviting 5 billion people to look at your social media. How are you going to screen the ones that you want to come into the office?
Right, that's a great question. So again, earlier I mentioned something about a questionnaire. So one of the things that we have suggested and implemented for some of our clients, ophthalmologists who want to screen patients, is a laser eye surgery or cataract surgery suitability questionnaire. And what we do with that is we have a really fun way of getting people to understand what it is that their issues are, get them to tell us a little bit about how they see their vision now, what kind of problems they have, fill in that form, and then we guide them with logic, if-then questions, to proceed to identify whether or not they're qualified for an invitation to a consultation, or whether we should direct them to another location or another service, or just to some general information online about what they might need. So that way we actually use the internet to triage people before we necessarily invite them to a consultation. That does two things. And number one, excludes people who are definitely not suitable. It educates people as well so that by the time they get to the consultation, they're much more well informed. And they've done so in a more interactive way that's more fun for them and more engaging.
Well, when I'm shopping online, I want to know how much it costs. How are you communicating the financial aspect of possible LASIK procedures, for example?
I know that a lot of ophthalmologists fear having that discussion around cost, and I understand that. That's not why they got into the game. But I think it's very, very important for you to preserve your sanity, to be really upfront with cost. Unlike those who want to play games and provide people with this option to get a quick offer and then be upsold by the time they get to the consultation, I don't advise that. I think the kinds of surgeons that I work with anyway value quality over quantity. And if that's you, then I suggest that you're really upfront with costs almost as a mechanism of demonstrating your quality. Because what a lot of people do is they still equate cost with quality. If something's a low price, then they immediately assume that the quality can't be that good. And if something's a higher price, then you immediately just simply assume the opposite, which the quality must be sufficient to warrant that higher price. And when that happens, you've already qualified your patients, the right ones, to contact you and to be invited to that really, really costly first consultation.
Well, thank you for sharing that information. And thank you for joining us. For more information, please visit us at eurotimes.org.